But
bye.
We are going to a new church. Bye bye.
Wait. Don't listen to him really hard. Don't listen to him.
We're not going to Jackson.
Jackson. No,
We're
whatever.
not going to Jackson.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Alright.
We're going wherever.
Alright. I guess I need to make that statement clear. Yes, we are going to a new church, but we are not leaving Fulton. We are going for a conference that actually started this morning, but obviously we didn't go this morning. We were at Fulton, but we will go this afternoon. After this devotional, we will head out, and we will be back Wednesday afternoon in time for our Bible class at Fulton. So yes, and the kids have Bible class all week. So that is what they're talking about. We've been talking to them about going to a new church and a new Bible class. But that is why he said a new church. Not that we're leaving Fulton, but that we are going, Matt and I are going for a conference, and we're just blessed enough that this conference is having a kids class. Most of them don't. So we're taking advantage of that. So back to our devotional. I'm going to spread this topic over the next few weeks because it's about farmers. And this struck me, it's kind of odd, I guess, or funny to me. When I do these devotionals, it's kind of like what's going on in my life right now. And last weekend on Memorial Day, a lot of you all probably had family get-togethers, went swimming, went to the lake, went to the beach, went out of town. Matt and I decided to plant flowers. We have not planted flowers our entire marriage because I will kill them all. I cannot grow flowers. But we decided to try. We had our front yard looking good. We cleaned it up, spent all weekend, spent all day Friday. We planted flowers. So when I found this devotional about 3 different farmers, it really caught my attention. Now, I didn't do any farm work, but I did plant, and we did work in our yard. And so it's a lot of information, so I decided to spread it out over 3 weeks and make the devotionals hopefully a little bit shorter. So this week we're going to talk about the gambling farmer. And what I want us to do as we go through these devotionals over the next few weeks is compare it to ourselves. I want you to compare the farmer we're talking about to us. And if we see any similarities, and I'm sure we will, how can we change those? Especially the one this week. The next 2 may not be, there'll be some things we have to tweak, but maybe not as, I don't want to say bad as this one, but as extreme as this one. But, so I wanted to start off, and like I said, we're going to talk about the gambling farmer, and we're going to start in 1 Corinthians 3, 1 through 9. It says, "But I, brothers, could not address you as spiritual people, but as people of the flesh, as infants in Christ. I fed you with milk, not solid food, for you are not ready for it. And even now you are not ready, for you are still of the flesh. For while there is jealousy and strife among you, are you not of the flesh and behaving only in a human way? For when one says, I follow Paul, and another, I follow Apollos, are you not being merely human? What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you believed, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building." The gambling farmer is one who is not spiritually minded, but he is one who is fleshly minded. He is more concerned about this world and living to the best of its standards. He is one who is focused on the here and now and not so much the future. He is also focused on being in the popular opinion and ensuring that he is following the popular person or idea. He is the one who is always looking to do the right thing or godly thing in the future when it's better time for him. Let's look at a few characteristics of the gambling farmer. The first thing is the gambling farmer is one who begs for a second chance. Proverbs 20 verse 4. The sluggard does not plow in the autumn. He will seek at harvest and have nothing. We all know there are certain times of the year that you must plant flowers, trees, bushes for them to grow. And like I said, we're a little late. Most people do have their yards looking nice in March. Here it is, the end of May, 1st of June, and Matt and I decided to do ours. But you have a certain time of the year. For you that have a garden, for you all that have farms, you all have, my brother has a farm or had a farm. There was a certain time of year we had to plant the crops. We had to get the seeds in a 2-week window. If we didn't get it in that 2-week window, we didn't have a harvest. It was just that simple. And this verse tells us that the sluggard, what did he do? Did he grow when he was supposed to go in his window, in his time frame? No. But what does he do? Even though he doesn't grow in the right time for it to yield a good crop, he still goes out at harvest time and expects a good crop. Therefore, what is he wanting? He's wanting a second chance. He knows he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Yes, he planted a crop, but he didn't do it at the right time. He didn't do it in the right way, but he still expected the same reward. How many of us do the same thing? How many of us, and this is where I thought about work, the work life. We have a deadline, or we have a deadline in our life, or we have a deadline in whatever, and we just don't make that deadline. We just don't get it done. We let life get in the way. We push it off, we push it off, we push it off until we can't push it off anymore. And then where does that leave us? Begging for a second chance. Begging for more time. Knowing all along it had to be done at a certain time, and we knew it, and we just didn't do it. We kept thinking, oh, there'll be tomorrow, or there'll be another day, or oh, I can slack just a little bit. Are we like the gambling farmer? The second thing that we see is that this farmer, he plants late, he plants in hard ground, and then he complains about a lack of harvest. And we see that in Proverbs 24, 30 through 34. I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense. And behold, it was all overgrown with thorns. The ground was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. Then I saw and considered it. I looked and received instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. Again, this farmer is a hard worker. We're not denying that. He planted his crop. We're not denying that. He works hard because it was not the right, and he worked hard, but because it wasn't the right time, he didn't get a good harvest, and he complained about it. He complained. It's not his fault. It's somebody else's fault. He did what he needed to do. He got the plants, he planted, he worked hard, he made sure his crop was where it needed to be, but it wasn't at the right time, and he still expects a great crop, and he complains. How many of us do the same thing? We work, but we only do enough to get by, and then we complain when it doesn't turn out exactly how we wanted it to. Or take the farmer. I'm going to go out. I planted, like I said, flowers this past weekend. What if I would have waited till August and tried to plant these flowers? Do I have any hope of them growing? Probably not. So how would I'm just like this farmer. I go out, I plant in August, I plant when the seasons are getting ready to change, and I expect this big, beautiful flower garden, and I complain when I don't get it. I complain when we have the first frost. I complain when it rains too much. I complain when it gets too cold. How many of us do that? Think of our life. We have something. We work to get it, but then we complain once we get it. Or we complain because it doesn't turn out the way we wanted it to. Yes, we did A, B, C, and D, but did we do it when we were supposed to do it? Are we like the gambling farmer? Lastly, we see this farmer makes excuses. Proverbs 26, 13 through 16. The sluggard says, there's a lion in the road. There's a lion in the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so does a sluggard on his bed. The sluggard buries his hand in the dish. It wears him out to bring it back to his mouth. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. My point to this, short and simple. Do we make excuses? Are we like the gambling farmer and make excuses? Oh, I didn't get it done because of this. Or on that day I was too busy doing this. I couldn't do it then because I was sick. I was out of town. I was whatever. Do we make excuses? Now, I want to look at the condition of the gambling farmer. What was his condition? He was self-centered living. I'll do it my way. You know the saying, my way or the highway? Are we the gambling farmer? What are the consequences of us being a gambling farmer? The first consequence is he destroys every responsibility, or put us in there. If we're the gambling farmer, our consequence is we destroy every responsibility. Proverbs 21:25. The desire of the sluggard kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. He's only going to change if he realizes that his pride is what is keeping him from being successful. It is his pride that causes him to want to do it his way and his way alone, and that will bring ruin to him in the end. He must learn the lesson of the ants and ensure that his work is done and that his family is taken care of. And we see this in Proverbs 6, verses 6 through 11. And it says, Go to the ant, O sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber and want like an armed man. So, to conclude this devotional, I have one simple thing. Are we like the gambling farmer? Are we guilty of waiting too long, doing stuff on our terms? Only our terms. We do the work, but we do it on our terms. We don't follow the deadlines. We don't follow the rules. We get it done, but it might not be done right. Are we guilty of begging for second chances? Are we guilty of making excuses? That's a big one for me. That's a big one. It's really easy to make an excuse. Oh, I didn't get it done, or I didn't call you because of this, or I didn't visit you, or I didn't send you that card, or I didn't check on you. I didn't fill in the blank. It's really easy. It's really easy. We can make excuses. Are we trying to live a self-centered life? If we are, that is not who God wants us to be, and it destroys us. In the end, it will destroy us. So, I just want us to think about that. Next week, we're going to talk about the second farmer, and I hope everyone has a great week, and we will see you here next week.